Alright, welcome guys, my name is ELIAS LUUKKONEN. I'm representing Team Discraft and this is my in the bag for the 2024 season. Welcome. Alright, so I'm gonna start a little bit unconventionally. I'm gonna start with the distance drivers. So I have 5 distance drivers in my bag right now. I say right now because I used to have 6, even 7, but as the year has gone by and I have been getting a little bit more comfortable with the discs, I have realized that I don't maybe need 7 or even 6 distance drivers. So starting off with the most understable one, I have this very old Zeus. It's pretty domey, it has a lot of glide, it's actually very understable. I got it from ELIAS LUUKKONEN, another good player from Finland who used to like Discraft discs very much. But it's a far flyer, mostly for tailwinds. And then I have 4 nukes, one of them which is a nuke OS. But starting with the normal nukes, this one is very special. I actually threw my longest ace ever, one of the longest aces that I have heard of, at Umergården's hole 5. It's the Swedish Open course, huge downhill hole. It's a pretty understable nuke, so I like to use it for hyzer flips that turn. This goes really far as well, both backhand and forehand. And then these 2 are kind of my workhorses. I use them both for backhand and forehand. The blue one I use mostly in the open. It's still pretty new, I don't want it to get beat in at all. It does have my own stamp on it, which is pretty sweet. There are still some of these available at heatland.com. I will put the link in the description. This one is pretty stable for a nuke. I can hammer on it flat and it's gonna fade out all the time. And then the green one, slightly more understable, but I use it more in the woods. It's more beat in, so I'm not worried about hitting some trees with it. And yeah, mostly for, you know, kind of straight to overstable, maybe straight to turning shots, depending on if I put it on a flat or a little hyzer or a little anhyzer. And then Nuke OS. This one used to be crazy overstable, now it's just very overstable. Still, I have used it for the whole year. It has taken a lot of big hits. I love to throw it on a grenade or some flex lines. Big headwind, I will probably throw it as well, or a spike hyzer up to 100, 110 meters. Very trusted disc. I don't know what I would do without a disc like this. And then going into fairway drivers, which in my situation are very interesting. I have kind of split the fairway drivers into 2 categories. I have 2 10 speeds and 3 of the more conventional fairway driver speeds. So let's start with the 10 speeds. I got 2 vultures, one very understable, one straight to a little finish. This is pretty much dead straight, so if I ever need a shot up to 120, 130 meters even, if it's a nice open with some good ceiling on it, I will probably grab this disc. It doesn't really turn, but it's also not stable enough to hold a headwind. So if it's windy, I probably would not use this disc. And this one, just a very understable version of the same disc. I can put it on a lot of hyzer, it's gonna turn. I don't really use it for rollers because I have other discs for that, but I like to use it for any sort of soft shots. I actually like to throw my fairway drivers fairly soft a lot of the time. So even though it's 10 speed, I might even pull it out on a 100-meter hole. Just throw it nice and soft with a little hyzer, get it to flip up flat. And then more of the regular fairway drivers. I have one Athena, probably one of my favorite discs from Discraft that I have tried. It's an incredible flyer. This one specifically, I can put it on some hyzer, gonna flip up flat, fly very straight. And the special thing about this disc is that it flies very similar if I throw it soft or if I throw it hard. So very good, it handles a lot of power. That's what I'm supposed to say. Got it from Fabi in Italy. Shout out Fabi. And then a couple Raptors, completely different from one another. This one, the Flex Raptor, just a normal, not a Captain's Raptor. It has been so beaten throughout the year that it's already turning. So if I throw it backhand, I throw it hard, it's gonna turn. If I throw it on a forehand, it's gonna flip up a little bit. I love it for control forehands. Not really a disc I would use in a lot of wind still, but very the soft plastic. I can really dig my hand deep inside of it. And then I have the Captain's Raptor, just a very overstable fairway. probably my top 3 most trusted discs just because it's so overstable. Love to throw it on a soft flex, put some good anhyzer on it, get it to flex back. Any headwind, I've never seen this disc flip up or turn even a little bit, so that's why I love it. Once again, the soft plastic, I really enjoy it, especially in the weather that we have right now. Alright, then mid-ranges. I have 3 mid-ranges that are conventionally seen as mid-ranges. And what I mean by that is I use them for a distance, you know, between 90 meters to 110 maybe, 115 sometimes. Most understable one is this old TI Buzz. Feels very good in the hand. I love the plastic, the TI plastic on this one. It's pretty flat, but with a slight dome. So it's gonna be understable. I can throw it very soft, or even very hard sometimes. If I just put some more hyzer on it, it's a great disc because depending on how much power I put on it, I can create some different lines with it. And then 2 Maltas, I'd say it's probably my most workable mid-range that I have. Both are straight to slightly overstable at the end. Blue one slightly more beaten. So if I have more headwind, I will probably take the purple. Also, if I have to throw it harder, purple goes straight with a little fade at the end if I throw it as hard as I can. This one might even turn just a little bit, just because it's quite beaten. But very workable mid-range, handles the wind well, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how hard you can throw this disc even with it being a mid-range. Approach discs. This is probably my favorite part. I love all of these. First of all, I have a Swarm. It's a new release from this year, very overstable 5-speed. Wouldn't call it a mid-range because it doesn't, I mean, it's kind of between a mid-range and an approach disc. Doesn't fly as far as a mid-range, but flies a little bit further than an approach disc, at least for the overstability that it has. But yeah, it's just very overstable. I think this is my most trusted disc. I love to put it on a forehand flex, forehand hyzer, any sort of backhand flex hyzer, in the wind or no wind. I love to throw overstable discs on approaches. I trust them more than the straight discs, and I think maybe not if you're just a beginner, but I would say that any player should try to use more overstable discs on their approaches, especially the slow discs. And of course, being on Discraft, you need to have zones. 2 zones. Whoops. This one more overstable. It's a very overstable run, the Crystal Flex from the Ledgestone. I can put it flat, and even in a good bit of a headwind, it's always going to finish. Whether forehand finish to the right, backhand finish to the left. I'd say I don't use this one as much as the other one, because the Swarm is overstable, and I would rather throw more overstable if I need an overstable disc. But sometimes if I need a bit of a softer landing than the Swarm, I would take this one, a little bit shorter distance as well. And then the other zone, probably my favorite disc in the bag. It's very straight for being zone. If I throw it as hard as I can, it's even gonna flip up a little bit on the backhand. And with the forehand, it's pretty much dead straight. I can put it anhyzer, flat or hyzer, it's gonna hold the line. If I throw it softer, it's gonna finish at the end. So that's another good thing about this disc. I love the fact that if I throw it hard, it doesn't really fade. If I throw it soft, it's actually kind of overstable. Then I have one kind of shot disc. It's not really used a lot. I'd say I use it maybe once every 2 or 3 rounds. It's an old nuke that I found / bought from the Järva Disc Golf used disc shop. So I was looking for a roller disc. I tried to find the most beaten, most understable looking Discraft disc that they had in the store, and this was the perfect option. Great for rollers. I actually don't have to throw it super hard to get it to roll. If I throw it as hard as I can, it's gonna flip over very quickly. And also good for some other trick shots. I can throw it on some crazy hyzer flips. I can throw it on a grenade that glides to the right. Just a very fun disc to throw. Usually though, if I pull it out of the bag, it means that I'm not doing very well on the round. And the last thing, putters. I don't throw a lot of putters, actually. Usually if I need to throw a putter distance, I will just throw the zone and put some little anhyzer on it if it's a straight line. I don't have great touch with putters, but the Kratos definitely helps because it's not as sensitive to a little bit of wobble as the Luna. I used to throw the Luna, but there was two problems for me personally. It flies very far, it glides insanely far for being a putter. So I wanted something with less glide, and also because I don't have the cleanest of releases, I wanted something slightly more stable. So the Kratos is exactly that. This one in base plastic actually has beat into slightly understable, so I use it more for right turning shots. And this one is more straight with a little finish to the left, but handles a lot of power. I can throw it full power. If I just get a clean release on it, it's not going to turn anywhere. And the last, but definitely not least, putting putters. I think these have helped me the most this year because I feel very comfortable with the feeling of the Luna. These are Lunas. I feel very comfortable with how they feel in my hand, and the flight is great. A lot of glide. They still have a little bit of a finish at the end, especially when I go further out. I love to have the glide but still have that consistent finish. I'd say that Luna is definitely one of the straighter putters out there, so they're definitely not overstable, but just the way I putt, I like to put the disc from further out. I like to put the disc a little bit above the basket to the right and drop it in. So they're perfect for that. Have my own stamp on them. Once again, heatland.com, link is going to be in the description. Yeah, I love the stamp, and these have been pretty durable actually. I've used them through the entire year and they're still flying just fine. And the last thing, the bag itself. It's the European Birdies bag. Shout out European Birdies for giving me one of their bags. It's super nice. Probably the best feeling bag on the back that I have tried. It has plenty of space. For me, I carry, you actually saw how many discs I carry. So that's the perfect amount for this bag. Probably could fit like 2, 3, even 4 more, or even more if you want to use the side pockets. So it's a very good bag. Yeah, what else to say? Shout out to my sponsors. I love the fact that Discraft took me on the team this year. It has been a pleasure trying their discs, and I feel like I'm very comfortable with them now. My other sponsors would be Fuzzy Eagle. I have their shirts under my jacket. Shout out to Maxim Tange for the jacket, the golden jacket. It's one of my most precious pieces of clothing that I have. Just feels great. Heatland helping me sell my stuff and logistics on tour. It's so nice to deal with the guys, very easy, very comfortable, feel very comfortable with them. And of course, MDG Media, we did a lot of collaboration through this year. Hopefully you heard some of my commentaries and maybe didn't dislike them that much, which I don't think you did. They were pretty good. Thank you guys for watching. That was my In the Bag. Please tell me what you thought and hopefully see you next year.